Shabbat Shalom, my friends, and welcome back to our ongoing conversations with the Torah. Our Sedra this week is Korach, chapter 16 of the book of Numbers, beginning with verse 1 and following. We had already referenced this Sedra last week when I pointed out how Moses reacted to the manner in which the Israelites responded to some desperately bad news. 10 of the 12 spies, you remember this, 10 of the 12 spies reported that the promised land could not be conquered. The people followed the majority report and lost all confidence in the leadership of Moses and in the promises of God. And how did Moses respond to such a gut-level challenge? He fell on his knees and begged God to resolve things. The journey to Canaan now became a 40-year trek. In our Sedra, a member of an elite Israelite family, a member of the Levites, challenged Moses' leadership. Hundreds of Israelites supported Korach, the rebel Korach and his crew. God's response, pretty straightforward. The earth opened up and swallowed the rebels alive. But that wasn't enough. Korach had, it says, 250 followers and many thousands more who supported his challenge to Moses and Aaron. By the time that God's anger cooled, some 15,000 Israelites had been killed. So, two challenges to leadership, each of which ended very badly for the rebels. Now, I fully understand the serious problem that emerged from the negative report of the 10 spies. Pretty straightforward. Their negativism rapidly infected a people just newly emerged from Egyptian slavery. If such negativity had carried the day, there probably would not have been a promised land. There probably would not have been a united people living in covenant with God. There probably would not be a Torah passed on midor lador from generation to generation. And who knows, there probably wouldn't be us studying Torah. But what about Korach's rebellion? A rebellion told about not only here in the book of Numbers, but mentioned in the New Testament and 4 times in the Quran as well. The rabbis really disliked Korach. Stories were invented by him about him. Oh, he was fabulously wealthy. After all, he plundered Egypt and maybe he stole some of Joseph's hidden wealth. He was on an ethical plane quite comparable to Haman. Boo. He challenged Moses with questions that highlighted what appeared to be inconsistencies or even absurdities in some of the Torah legislation. Korach then publicly declared, the rabbi said, it's not in the Torah, the rabbi said, that the Torah was Moses' creation and not God's. Wow, Korach. Modern teachers to this day revile Korach for his sarcasm, his lack of humility, his jealousy, his direct challenge to legitimate authority. Korach is a negative example par excellence. Whatever you do, kid, don't be like Korach. Over and over again we are taught, don't be like Korach, rather be like Hillel and Shammai. Now we know about Hillel and Shammai and Pirkei Avot. These two renowned teachers in the schools that they led seem to get along famously. They most certainly disagreed on many core items of halachic interpretation, actually some 350 items in all. Hillel, Shammai, the yin and the yang of the halakha. But they seem to know how to disagree intensely without getting nasty. Shammai said that one must be honest in describing a bride's appearance. Hillel said, tell her that she is beautiful and full of grace. Shammai promoted truth over peace. Hillel promoted peace over truth. Okay, not bad. Hillel, Shammai, that's a good way to disagree. We learned that Hillel and Shammai helped develop within Judaism something which is called tarbut machloket, the culture of dissent. Arguing is good. Disagreeing is good. In the Talmud, we find this truly famous statement. Rabbi Abba said in the name of Shmuel, for 3 years there was a dispute between the school of Shammai and the school of Hillel. Then a bat kol, a divine echo, was heard saying, Elu ve'elu divrei Elohim chayim. The utterances of both reflect the words of the living God. But, it ends, the law is according to the school of Hillel. So, debating and disagreeing are welcome, and I have to ask you, has Korach then just been getting a bad rap over these past 2,000 years? What was so wrong with his having challenged Moses on matters of Jewish law? Why has Jewish tradition vilified him? Now, despite how things ended up in the interactions between Hillel and Shammai, they got a little bloody at the very end of the day. Tarbut machloket, the culture of debate, is a mainstay of Jewish life even to this day. Rabbinic Judaism from the 3rd section on has been committed to something which is called loosely a proto-democracy. Votes were taken, majority decisions were upheld, minority opinions were recorded for possible consideration in the future. There is a wonderful passage in the Mechilta de Rabbi Ishmael that says that the Torah was meant to be heard according to the strength of each of us. We each hear Torah differently. We each interpret Torah differently. So was Korach really such a victim? No matter what the rabbis threw at him beyond what the Torah says, was he really such a victim? At the end of the day, my friends, in the real world, decisions must be made so that life can move on. And that's how Hillel and Shammai were understood to have carried out the work of interpreting Torah, pursuing both truth and peace. Despite a painful collapse of civility in a later period, their disagreements epitomize a healthy core of contemporary Jewish existence. But Korach's rebellion was deemed by the rabbis not to be l'shem shamayim, not for the sake of heaven, not for the sake of truth or of peace. His rebellion was viewed by the rabbis, and here we get it, as a personal vendetta, a power grab. Rav lachem, Korach proclaimed. You and Aaron have gone too far, Moses. Ki kol ha'edah kulam kadoshim. For all of the members of this community are holy, and God is in their midst. Direct challenge to you both. Remember a few moments ago we had this quote, Elu ve'elu divrei Elohim chayim. The utterances of both reflect the will of the God. Here's the part. But the law is according to the school of Hillel. Close quote. At the end of the day, a community, a functioning community 2,000 years ago and today must move past diverse opinions and make binding decisions. The law ultimately must be decided in this direction or in that direction. Stalemates crush community. Inability to act crushes community. Unwillingness to stand up and have your vote counted crushes community. And a refusal to accept the decision of the majority is a knife thrust into the heart of community. The Israelites were infinitely distant from being a democracy, but they had to function. They had a leader. They had courts. They had a structure within which to nurture the future. Korach sought to tear everything down, to place himself in the center. Such a person, the rabbis decided, deserved to be swallowed up whole by the earth. You see, my friends, a Korach can destroy even the noblest of societies. A Korach can rip apart a Torah or a constitution. Some serious stuff to think about this Shabbat and over the weekend. Don't be a Korach. Be like Hillel and Shammai. Remind others as well. Shabbat Shalom. Have a great week. Look forward to seeing you, God willing, next week. Shabbat Shalom.